Okay, hi guys, this is Mars Girl. I just got back from watching the movie Gem and the Holograms, which was not something I necessarily wanted to do of my own volition. And the only reason why I ended up seeing it was because it ended up at our local dollar theater, and we spent a total of $1.25 on a ticket, and it was like, well, never gonna get a better opportunity to see it kind of sort of within this span of time. After it's essentially a new release. It's only been a couple of weeks, and it's technically not really in theaters anymore, and this is kind of its halfway period between being in theaters and being on home video release, and so this was the cheapest I was going to do it without stealing it. So, oh my god, this is seriously, if you have been following this vomit storm I've had on Twitter this past evening, then you know that the things I've been saying about it include the fact that, oh my god, this movie is akin to opening the Ark of the Covenant. Don't open it, your face will melt off. And I wish I could say that was an awesome rock phrase, but it is not. It is like the farthest thing possible from being an awesome rock phrase. And I know this is a sentiment that has been going around, and I'm probably not the first person you've heard it from. For some reason, people wanted to hear what I had to say about it. I don't know why that is. I guess because I drew some little cartoony pictures once of Gem and the Holograms, and now people want to know. So, okay, here we go. Like, nothing is right. Nothing is friggin' right. Okay? Let me actually make this statement before I go in that direction. This movie could have gone in one of two directions. One, it stays totally faithful to the cartoon, and it makes the super uber Gem and the Holograms fans happy, and then kind of alienates the normal people. Alright? It could have done that, or it could have gone in another direction, where it completely and utterly alienates its original fan base, but it goes and it does its own weird thing. Actually, if I'm to be fair, as much as I dislike Michael Bay's Transformers, at least that's a Hasbro product that became a cartoon that then got a really super explosive series of movies that at least was like fighting robot action, and then a very wide general audience who never saw Transformers before could at least enjoy it. This movie does neither one of these things, or actually it tries to do both of those things sometimes, and then fails at doing both of them, right? So, it starts off trying to be super simplistic, little teenage girl who's nobody on the internet suddenly gets everything she ever wants in life handed to her on a silver platter, and you could have gone this direction. Like, you got John Chu, who not only directed another Hasbro series of movies under G.I. Joe, but also directed this Justin Bieber, what the f is this movie? I don't even. So, you know, he could have just taken it in that direction. Go full-blown pop star, and it would have really sucked ass, but at least it would have found an audience, right? So he does that for, like, at least the first third and more so later of the movie, right? So Jerrica Benton is all wrong. She's maybe 18, and then there's her younger sister who's maybe 16, Kimber, and then the other two characters, Aja and Shauna, are like her adopted sisters, which is like not a thing that they are in the cartoon series at all. Like, yeah, they're really close, like sisters, but the only thing even remotely sister-like about them is that they all kind of work together to run this orphanage, this orphan house, and all the underage girls there, you know, they don't even show up in this movie. There isn't an orphanage to speak of at all. In fact, all these girls are now orphans, which is not what their characters were in the cartoons at all. In fact, they were all adult grown-ass women who did their own business things. Like in the original, all four of these women are, you know, they're grown-ass women who do amazing things with their own jobs and their own lives. Shauna, they touch on it a little bit in the movie that she's this great, incredible, capable fashionista. for like 2 articles of clothing that her sisters totally don't even want to wear, and then they never touch upon it again. Like in the cartoon, Shauna's supposed to be able to make all of the clothes for all the different members of the holograms, to then go out on stage and premiere and stuff, and like, that's not a thing that happens, because as soon as they all get found and signed onto this record deal, then it's the record label that puts them into all of these great fashion-y clothes, and then the expertise of Shauna is never touched upon ever again. Kimber, we never see that she's actually a capable musician. We never see that any of these girls are actually capable musicians. Aja is supposed to be able to play drums, and we never actually see her, like, really super drumming. There's one song where she's, like, drumming on drums that completely are not the drums that you're hearing in the track that's playing at the same time. It's very jarring. It makes absolutely no sense. So anyway, I've kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but to kind of reel it back, Jerica does not like cameras and stuff, never mind the fact that her character should be a grown woman who's very capable and owns Starlight Music. This girl does not. She comes from nothing, dirt poor. She records a video of herself singing a song that she wrote, and very kind of half-assedly strumming a guitar. You can barely hear the guitar, and she's singing very mediocrely over it, and then her sister takes it from her and sneakily uploads it to YouTube, and the very next day she has like tens of thousands of views and she's gone absolutely viral. Never mind the fact that when Kimber uploaded the video, she uploaded it with a title but no description? How is anybody supposed to find this? I imagine, like, coming from a world where you make videos or you make any sort of piece of art, talking as somebody who's gone through the convention circuit for a while, just from Artist Alley perspective, okay? The things that make money are the people who do fan art of things. The people on YouTube who get hits are people who are doing covers of things. Like, this is a really sad but true fact. But if you're doing your own original content, nobody's going to find you. Not until you've at least done a cover of something first that everybody already frigging knows. Nobody's gonna give a crap. That's really sad. So how, in God's name, did Jem get discovered overnight, and then suddenly CNN is talking about her, and then Starlight Music wants to give her a solo record deal and make her perform 3 concerts in the Los Angeles area? Then comes in Jerica, I guess, instant messaging Erica Raymond. That's an alteration. Erica Raymond from Eric Raymond. Why the gender swap was necessary, I don't know. It was completely 100% not necessary. Could have been done under Eric Raymond for the entire course of the movie, and it would have changed literally jack squat. Nothing would have been different. Why was the change necessary? So anyway, they're having this like instant message conversation about, so you're gonna sign this contract? Well, I'm not gonna sign the contract unless my sisters come. This is non-negotiable. Yeah, well, I'm non-negotiable. Oh, okay, you win. Yes, because Hollywood record deals totally work that easily. Not to mention, at the same time, there's like this YouTube duo of people drumming in the background, and it keeps cutting in between this instant message conversation and some YouTubers they pulled out of nowhere, and like, I get that they are trying to show that there's like this internet subculture that they're pulling it from, but why this jarring thing, like you're going back and forth between these two things, and I can't focus on the thing you're wanting me to focus on? And you're introducing, like, other people's music, and I'm like, cool, those are legit musicians, why isn't this movie about them? Why are you playing somebody else's music on top of the girl who's supposed to be making music, and, like, that's the whole point of this movie? Doesn't make sense. So somehow she lands a record deal for her and her three sisters, despite the fact that no one has ever seen her three sisters or seen them capable of doing anything. In fact, for the whole course of the movie, I never saw them capable of doing anything, even as they were performing on stage. So, what the So they send the character Zipper to go and pick them up at their house, and Zipper is like one of the only dudes that they actually cast off the internet back when they were doing this casting call, and John Chu's all like, this is actually how we're casting the movie. Yeah, for him. That's about it. And he picks them up, and, like, his role originally is supposed to be like he's a hitman or a con artist or something. Like, Eric Raymond used to call him up to be like, hey, we need to stop Jerica from allowing Jem and the Holograms to take this stage on X night. Go, like, set explosives under the stage. And he's like, you got it, boss. And then he, like, goes and, like, makes things blow up. Like, he causes millions of dollars worth of damage, and he never does that. And instead, he's just generic lackey to Erica Raymond, which is actually closer to the role that Rio should have really been playing the more that I think about it, because then we're introduced to Rio once we get to, it's not Starlight Music, it's Starlight Corporation and Starlight Enterprises. Thanks, Josh! So Starlight Enterprises, oh my god, get to Starlight Enterprises, and then Rio shows up, and dude never has purple hair. That's Nick's number one on his face. And he's just such a callous dude. He's completely, always upset about something and completely unlikable, which was totally not like his character in the cartoon at all. Nor does he really perform the tasks that his character did. Like, a little bit, maybe, like getting Jem and her sisters from place A to place B. Yay, good job. Otherwise, like, he should have been doing a lot of other additional legwork, because it was more kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Roadie?
Yeah, he's more of a roadie than he was anything else. He'd help set some things up. Like, he should have been doing a lot of hard labor, and this guy never did that ever once. So once all the girls are at Starlight Company place thing, then all the girls are like stood in a row, and they're like, alright, we need to like refashion you up, and Erica starts insulting each one of their styles of dress, and finally gets down to Jerica, like, oh, these little star earrings that you're wearing, that your dad gave you, oh, they're so cute, but oh, they're also so hideous. Here, I'm going to take them, and rather than you putting them in your personal belongings, why don't I put them in my safe over here, where you can't possibly ever... What point was there to that? Like, are you going to then take the rest of her clothes and put them in that safe too? Because otherwise, locking them up in a safe, there's no point unless you knew that those earrings were meant to, like, do something really important and special, which they kind of do, but it's like a really personal thing. Now, if this was the cartoon, the earrings would be a lot more special than they actually are in this film. Because the earrings, of course, if you watch the cartoon, you know that they trigger Synergy, the jazzercise dance robot, who's a hologram and who's based after Jem's mom, but not really, kind of, sort of, but not really. And yes, her dad built Synergy, built it to look like Jerica's mom. And then Synergy can make these holograms of whatever the hell it is that the kids want there to be, like new clothes, or make a double in case they're in a situation like, oh yes, I am Jerica and I need a hologram of Jem standing next to me to prove that we're two completely different people. So, like, those earrings are really friggin' important in the cartoon. But in this movie, they do so very little. They serve to complete the building of little bit of robot Synergy, which is not even really like it's a throwaway kind of a thing. And this is where Jerica says, now this is where it gets really weird. And I guess, yeah, it kind of does. Because why, when you're talking about a movie where you've got this rags to riches story and it seems really bland and kind of blah, Do you then insert sci-fi robot who then sends the girls on a wild goose chase to go hunt things down on the Santa Monica Pier, and then pull out pieces of a super future tech robot that was built in the 90s, and then plug these pieces that you don't know whether or not they work after like 10 years, 15 years. You don't know whether or not these things work. You're plugging these things into this robot that projects, again, holograms. Why do you have to do, like, you go to the Santa Monica Pier and you twist some pipes, like, what is this Legend of Zelda puzzle BS? What is this crap? Why do you need to build this? Like, this is ridiculous. These two movies kind of don't go together, you know? They just don't. You should have just gone either balls to the wall, completely insane, we really are talking this is an adaptation of a cartoon, or just be boring. Just be boring. It'll find a stupid, boring audience. It'll get there. It'll make money. But I know I complained about that a lot. It doesn't do either one of those things. So to pull back for a second, they find that Synergy, like, for some stupid reason, Jerrica brought along this big hunking chunk of robot, and it just suddenly turns itself on for really no freaking good reason. They assume that it turned on, or it located some sort of GPS signal that doesn't really explain how the robot freaking turned on to begin with. Doesn't matter. Now they follow it on a wild goose chase to these things that it locates through geo-mapping or something, and so they run to these places like the Santa Monica Pier to go and find these stupid things to plug into the robot, and they go to the Santa Monica Pier, they find the thing, plug it into the robot, then they jump into the water to escape the cops, and then they start singing, and like, it would have probably looked a lot better if it was actually live singing there on camera, but it wasn't. It was clearly a very pre-recorded thing. And then Rio decides he wants to join in on this song, and it's like, hey Rio, you don't sing, buddy. Who invited you to sing? Nobody asked you to sing. That's not a thing your character does. And you look so fake doing it. That's not cool, please stop. In that same scene, he then reveals Rio is the son of Erica Raymond. Why? Why are they related now? This is also not a thing. So stupid. So we don't talk about what happened to his dad, similarly to how we don't talk about what happened to Jerrica's mom. So mind you, all this time, people are like getting overly excited about who Jem is, and this is based on one viral video, and not a single has been recorded yet, nor has anyone been introduced to there being 3 other members of the band, aside from one photoshopped poster that insinuates there are 4 members of the band, and why would anybody be excited for them, because nobody's ever seen them or know what their talents or capabilities are, but everybody's freaking psyched. So they go to this concert, and they do this concert, and there's this really stupid, Youngblood, boring song that's not really all that inspiring in any way, shape, or form. Like, this is very Disney radio kind of, oh my god, this does not need to go viral. And then the power goes out, and Jerrica realizes there's a guitar over there, and I recognize it, and I'm gonna go play it while I make everybody clap and stomp their feet. And if you're playing acoustic while an entire audience is clapping and stomping their feet, they're not going to be able to hear you sing or strum your guitar, but we did anyway, because this is a movie, and it just so happens that that guitar was perfectly in tune and well strung and everything. Also, that guitar was her dad's. Why? Who was her dad? Like, what did her dad do? I mean, we know that we saw that, like, he liked to play guitar because he kind of taught her daughter a little bit of her first chords and stuff. You know, a lot of people casually play guitar. And then he also is a super freaking robot genius from 10 to 15 years ago. So, like, who was he? Why was he so famous that he got his guitar put on the wall of this really super famous musical venue? And then they go and they take this guitar, and then they bust it open, and it's got another little piece of the robot, and then the robot's like, no, you need to put another thingy in. And they're like, well, it's not telling us anything, so it's not like we can figure it out. So this whole time, there was kind of this other subplot where Jerrica's aunt, the house that they live in, they're losing money. I guess she works at some kind of a resale thrift store or some crap like that. And they're losing money, and they're gonna lose the house in like 30 days. And so Jerrica thought, okay, well, since we signed this record deal, everything's gonna be cool. But then she has like this Skype call or FaceTime or something like that, where they have a conversation, and the aunt's like, nuh-uh, it fell through. We need to have the money by this week. But don't worry about it, honey. Everything's gonna be fine. No! I'm gonna fix it! I'm gonna fix it for everybody. I'm gonna get this right. And then comes this conversation between Jerrica and Erica, like, so hey, can I get an advance? And Erica's like, yeah, if you sign a solo deal. And Jerrica's like, well, it's for the betterment of everybody. And so she signs this contract, which is funny because the legal signature line says Jerrica Benton, and she signs it as Gem, which I would almost think, oh, well, maybe that's not legally binding, and maybe that's how she's going to get out of it later. That's not a thing. So, I guess she legally signs everything as Gem now, and not Jerrica Benton, despite what the text there says. Like it's not just a check, okay? Because you can write whatever you want on a check. You can't write whatever you want on a legally binding document. But she does, and so now suddenly out of nowhere, like immediately as soon as the ink dries, that is when she becomes a solo artist, and she doesn't tell her sisters, and then Erica tells them only right before they were all four supposed to go on for a concert, except they weren't all four supposed to go on for a concert, it was just Jerrica, so why did they lead them on for that long? And then they're like, we overheard everything, so nobody told them, and they just found out themselves, and yeah, okay, they were pissed, but they didn't, like, stop for a second to be like, well, yeah, we weren't gonna go back and have, like, a roof over our heads or anything, so I can see why it was you did what you did, because you were looking out for our best. Like, that conversation doesn't happen, it's just, we're mad, we're sisters, and we were part of a band together, and you broke up the band, and you broke up our life. And they leave, and then there's this music video, and there's a lot of interpretive dancing, and it doesn't really fit with the aesthetic of the rest of the movie, and then Jerrica's really sad, and then she goes and she runs back to the house where she grew up, with her and her dad and her sister. Of course they don't live there anymore, now there's another strange family living in there. And she just sits outside their house, which I think is weird, because, like, that's another person's property now, and there's, like, an entire scene that happens on the stairways of this stranger's house, and I would think, personally, that the stranger should have been like, hey, you kids, get off my lawn. That never happened. And then all four girls are like, we knew you'd be here, time to give you a rousing speech and help you find the rest of the robot, because we forgive you suddenly. It wasn't a very good speech, really. It was one of the most forced scenes in the entire film. And then they realize, and Rio actually had to bring the rest of the girls there in his Jeep thing. And so now there's the five of them sitting on these stranger stairs. And he's like, well, what else could possibly be missing from your robot? Because I want to help you put together your robot because it's important to you because it was your dad's gift to you or something. Ah, I know! He wanted me to use my gifts! My earrings, those were my gifts! Ah, but they're locked away in the safe inside a Starlight Music or Starlight Place thing. And then they come up with this stupid plan, like, alright, now we gotta bust into the company, and I'm like, why? Why do you need to break in? One, go in tomorrow. Why does it have to be tonight? Why tonight? Unless you're gonna lose the house tomorrow, which was not a thing, I don't think. And two, one, you have Rio, who works for the company anyway, and is the son of the person who owns the company, and two, Jerrica is Jem, and even the security guards are like, ah, cool, Jem is walking around our building, can I get your autograph written on my arm? They could have walked in at any given moment with no need to steal somebody. Rio steals his mom's car. Why? To look like his mom for a second and then sneak Jerrica in the trunk of the car. And I was like, she could have just lied down in the back of the car. But why are you even stealing the car in the first place? The whole thing is really stupid. And perhaps the whole thing is because, like, you didn't want there to be people around when you busted into the safe to get the earrings back that should have never been in the safe to begin with. Okay, I get that, but still, you could have just walked in the middle of the night and nobody would have been there, nobody would have questioned you. So, what the hell? They bust in, they get the earrings, on top of that they also find a will from Rio's dad, and it's like, it all fits together immediately. Oh, Rio has the company, doesn't he? Of course, they don't reveal this for another 5-10 minutes, something like that. But you know, you just know already. You just kind of know. So, this whole movie, Jerrica has been kind of vlogging the entire experience of the movie, and then decides, alright, well, I'm about to go on for my last solo concert, but it's not going to be a solo concert, it's going to be with the four of us, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell everybody who we are, I'm going to give away all of our identities because my family is more important. So, you know what, never mind this whole vlog, I'm going to delete the whole thing. So, the whole thing was really freaking pointless, and then right before they're about to go out on stage, Erica shows up like, hey, I'm super pissed at all of you, you broke in, and you're supposed to be doing this concert solo, and I'm mad at all of you, everybody, each and every one of you, I'm mad at all of you. And then Rio's like, well, too freaking bad, because my dad said I could have the company, bye mom, and he kicks his mom out, and then they do a stupid concert with all four of the girls, where they're like, well, I was going to tell you the identity of Jem, and Jem is all of you. Jem is whatever you want it to be. It's an ideal. It's ethics in video game journal. No, it's not ethics in video game journal. But it's whatever you think is important. You be whoever you're gonna play. There's this big, stupid after-school special speech, followed by a supremely mediocre song, and then suddenly, toward the end of the song, Christy Marks, the creator of the cartoon Jem, who had no input on how this movie was to be created and made at all whatsoever, makes a cameo standing next to Rio. And she says, oh, what do they want to call themselves, this band, because it's more than just Jem. Are they going to call themselves Jem or what? And then Rio looks down at Synergy and he's like, how about Jem and the Holograms? Right, like that was Rio's decision to make, you know, to call them Jem and the Holograms. What part of these girls actually is holographic, and why didn't they get to name themselves? Why? I'm so concerned, like, this was, everybody I think was really pissed about how much of a lack of woman input and female input and development there was behind this movie. And in a lot of places that really shows, especially in Rio, because Rio got bumped up so hard from being a roadie to being almighty, powerful owner of Starlight Corporation, and now owning this company and being able to make decisions like calling them Jem and the Holograms, and now he gets a kiss from Jerrica, and now it's nepotism. And that's horrible, and that's essentially where the movie ends. Except for this halfway post-credit scene that feels incredibly tacked on, because think about it. I don't suppose any of you remember when that first trailer came out, and everybody was pissed, because we all knew it was going to be bad. We all knew from the beginning it was going to be god-awful. And there was no sign of the Misfits at all whatsoever. And when everybody complained about it, then they made a second trailer where they threw on, right at the very end, much like the movie, this really short, tacked-on piece of footage of what appeared to be pizzazz from the Misfits. And so then it's like, oh, you remembered the Misfits? So Erica no longer runs Starlight. She goes running to the Misfits, who are down in some underground place tagging a wall or something. And then only after Erica mentions that Rio has started dating Jerica does Pizzazz come out, and she's all pissed. This is actually completely spot on with Pizzazz's character. Pizzazz totally has the hots for Rio and is pissed that Rio doesn't like her. He likes Jem instead. And so then Pizzazz comes out and she's like, now he's after her? Well, yeah, I'll help you. And Erica's like, yeah, I need somebody, I don't just need a band, I need somebody who's going to destroy Jem and the Holograms. And it's like, oh, now you want to go in this direction. Now you want to do this thing that you should have done from the beginning, but now it's too little too late. Where you want to pretend that you remember what the character development was in the cartoon, but now you can't do it anymore. Because this was like going to be a lead-in for a second movie that, admittedly, now that they realized, oh, the first formula wasn't going to work, maybe the second time around we'll actually get closer to what we should have been the first time, and maybe a second movie, maybe a second movie could have been better than the first one, but forget it, like, I don't even care anymore. I don't even care that I'm missing out on this potential second movie, unless somebody wanted to completely and utterly reboot the whole thing. Which, let's face it, this bombed so hard, that chance is never going to happen. But man, the number of times they just outright quote, like, the intro song, Jem, truly, truly, truly outrageous, it's just glamour and glitter, fashion and fame, and then right here at the end where Pizzazz is like, our songs are better, we're gonna get her. Yes, we've all heard the theme song. Even people who've not watched the TV show know how the theme song goes. That does not mean you watched the TV show. So this was bad. What else do you want me to say? Like, I think I already went way over what I needed to say. This is, again, opening the Ark of the Covenant, and I don't know what else you were expecting. Plenty of other people have said the exact same thing. $1.25 is way too much to spend on it. Steal this movie if you want to see it. Don't even rent it when it comes out. Like, torrent the hell out of it. I don't even care if it risks, like, putting you in jail because you stole. I don't even care. Like, you'll be just like Aja in that regard, because they turned her character into a kleptomaniac, which is completely opposite of what her character is. This movie is bad, and Universal should feel bad for allowing it to exist. Okay, thank you. Please, stop. God.